Welcome to this video. My intention with this video and all of my videos is just to share some higher frequency energies and messages. And thank you so much for tuning in, sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. I'm just going to roll right into it. So here we go. As we allow ourselves to come into these multiply faceted energies and frequencies, we find many different facets that we have been fastened into. And we are inviting you to fasten onto the seatbelt, one might say, or hang on. I'm hearing fasten in and hold on. For the frequencies are about to get ramped up, and yet some of you may feel that they already are, and others are hoping that they will become more so. And it just goes to show that each of us is in our own ride, one might say. We are each held or encapsulated within our own technology. We have our own innate wisdom that we have gleaned through experience and through lifetimes of exchanging information with the planets we exist within now, which is another form of multidimensionality, for we are existing within many different frequencies, in many different realities, one might say, yet here we are now on Earth. And this is the reality. We are inviting those who are feeling into this frequency. We are inviting those who have the ability to anchor those frequencies into their bodies and therefore into the earth, and therefore weaving out and interconnecting with all that we come into connection and contact with. These frequencies of higher vibration, compassion, love, and the ability to understand one another without necessarily needing to understand one another. And this sounds like opposites and dichotomy at best, yet we are being invited to be at our best, to be in our best and on our best behavior. One might say, for there are many different behaviors that are also part of the many facets of organizations that we have been organized into. The behaviors are oftentimes learned. And this goes down to basic psychology as to what our environments have been, where we have been, what our environments have provided for us, and how we have integrated that information and now carry it forward into our behaviors and our analytical composition. And remembering, as a reminder, some of this is a play on words. For that which we are composed of has many different facets. And so we use this as our key word today. For that is the key. Recognizing as the diamond that we are all part of, encapsulated within, that we are all co-creating together in this carbon reality, one might say, moving into a rainbow crystalline frequency once the light shines on the many different aspects of the diamond. We recognize that there are, depending on how we turn the stone, how we admire or see with clarity or lack thereof, how it is that we perceive this rock, one might say. And this is a play on words, for when we say rock, we also tune into third rock from the sun, and the play on words with earth. For the earth is a diamond. It is a carbon-based molecular frequency of exchange and energy, yet it is so much more than that. It is so much more than the facets that we have essentially been taught. And so she holds within her many different frequencies that are waiting to be exchanged with, one might say. And from another perspective, or another facet or arena, we are already exchanging with those frequencies. For the more that we open up to the many different versions of reality and recognize that there are many different keys and key holders, for the combinations are always shifting and changing, for we are a fluid movement of collective energies, all held within this particular dimensional exchange, one might say. And from another perspective, we are also in many different dimensions all at one time. And our representation of time is based on the dimensional vibration or frequency or perspective that we are holding. And so when we branch out into all of that, it can be overwhelming. It can be confusing. We can see that it is beyond our ability to truly see how vast our ability to see is. And so we are being called and invited to continue to do what we can in order to organize our frequencies and energies, doing the best we can. And this has been an ongoing theme and an ongoing message that the guidance team that I like to call these energies are offering, because we are here now on Earth, all of us working together through our layers of consciousness, through our abilities to tune into our bodies, through our abilities to communicate with the earth and the energies that she provides. I had to pause for a moment. My little blue jay was not mine. I'm giving him back in a little while, but he was talking to us. So as we allow these dimensional exchanges, as we allow ourselves to move with the changes, or to allow the changes to move through us, for we are shifting as a frequency and a vibration, moving from one frequency into another simultaneously. The words that we hear that are coming up and creating distortions are all based around time. What now? What next? What do I need to do? Much has been encapsulated within a particular system of how it is that we interpret, decode, interact with, and create from the idea or concept of time. And so we go back to the basics here, which is to feel how we feel while we are interacting with time. And while this message is not completely based around time, we will get to that perhaps in a moment. The biggest message that we can share, and time again, is to breathe, be aware, feel the air, move it into your body, utilize the breath, feel into the consciousness that we are inhabiting, or better spoken, feel into the consciousness that is inhabiting this body, that is inhabiting this earth. For we are beyond all of that, yet here we are now. So therefore we are not beyond that, for we are establishing a reality that is here now. So even with the multidimensionality and many facets that we are all interweaving and exchanging with on a regular basis, and while all of this is important and part of our experience, the most important part of our experience from one perspective is the experience itself here on Earth now. So therefore, if we are constantly working to move away from Earth, or to move away from our higher consciousness that involves actively communicating with what we have near and dear to us here and near now, meaning from the heart, from our lungs, from our organs, from our cells, and also within our human interaction with other beings of consciousness walking around in technology, or the Mother Nature and what all of the gifts that she brings to us on a daily basis that we are oftentimes overlooking and not interacting with in a conscious way, not really recognizing that these beings hold consciousness as well. Or even as small as the flowers that we bring home from the grocery store, that we plant in our garden, the plants that we water on a daily basis. These are all things we are being called to reorganize with, to recognize the organization and the divine fractal in the all, the fractal that we are all connected into. For we are all these colors and sounds and vibrations that are organized and working with each other in some form of organization, whether it be harmonic, a harmonious interaction, or a disjointed, disharmonious interaction. It is still an interaction that we are creating and co-creating and connecting with whether consciously or unconsciously. And so we are being called to bring up the patterns, to recognize some of the patterns that we are operating within, that we are operating with, that we are habitually co-creating, and begin to realize that all things are holding some form of consciousness, some form of information, some form of vibration and energetic exchange. This will begin to fine tune us and assist us in recognizing the tunes that each of these beings, frequencies, conscious interactions hold. The more that we are able to feel into the field that we are all existing through and within, the more we are able to become conscious co-creators and recognize at a conscious level that which it is that we are connecting with and from. For many are not recognizing their inner connection to source, for they are unconsciously and continually unplugging from these before mentioned things such as Mother Nature and animals and flowers and plants and our fellow humans, brothers and sisters. And many are trying to escape from that, for it can feel foreign when we are used to being raised in a certain level of consciousness, or a certain, I'm being shown like raised by wolves, raised by technology. Like, obviously, if we were raised by wolves, we would have a completely different way of interacting with society than we would being raised by technology. So I'm just seeing that we're at this crossroads right now, in which, and I'm being shown the rainbow and the facets of the diamond, that all of this is interacting with each other. It's all working together, but there's so much of there's such a large collective of people. It's not even a large collective. It's a frequency of people where they are so tuned into none of that, none of the nature, nothing innate, all tuned into the inorganic, that it's causing a very large disconnect from the organic. And I'm just seeing that as a potential in the field. But this isn't being said to create fear, because the idea is it doesn't take much to actually clear that distortion. It doesn't take much to regroup and reground, and to, I'm hearing, go underground for a bit, go into a cave. This doesn't mean we're running away from it. It just means we're learning how to consciously co-create and interact with it in such a way that we're aware of what we're doing while we're doing it. And I brought up that story recently about the angelic grocery bagger that I had connected with in the parking lot on my journey, that I literally had to stop loading groceries into my car, had to get out of my head, had to see him and go, wow, he's actually sharing something valuable with me. And I didn't see it until just this second. I took a breath in, I got into my body, I made eye contact, and I realized the universe had just gifted me with this human, or maybe not, human in a consciousness in a body that was just there that day. When I went back to the store the next day, this person supposedly never worked there. I never saw them again. I'd never seen them before that day. And apparently everybody in the grocery store, this man that had helped me, who had bagged my groceries with a checker, they said no one fit that description from working there. And I didn't ever see him again. So had I have been not taking that moment to consciously wake up from my daydream of, I have to do this, I have to do that, would he hurry up? What is he talking about? All of a sudden I listened and went, oh, this is a human interaction that I'm just completely avoiding unconsciously, not even intentionally. So that's the other message that's coming through in all this. We're not necessarily intentionally, caught up in our world. We're doing it because of habitual programming and what our environment has supported us in. And so sometimes we maybe didn't feel supported unless we were fill in the blanks. So recognizing that and saying, okay, that's an old habit and that's an old pattern. So it's a multidimensional message, but that's kind of the point, is we're receiving a lot of this multidimensional help, but it's important for us to be here now with it, to access it and bring it through wherever we are now in this moment, to connect into the earth, because this keeps us grounded. It keeps us growing. It keeps us feeling life in all forms, rather than, I'm hearing, sidewinding us into like a snake, a sidewinder, sidewinding us into a program or a story or a habitual program that is being introduced in part because of the technology, but also in part because of the stories associated with that particular reality that others are fully I'm hearing embossed within. And that's a play on words. Like, they've merged with it, they're being bossed around by it, and they don't even realize it. So this is a big play on words. So I'm just seeing like a child dancing in the rain and finding joy in these little things, because ultimately that is an art form that many have forgotten. And we would say lost. It is not lost, it is merely misplaced. And for many people, do not see its place. They do not see where it has an impact in their lives, because they are not utilizing it to feel the impact in their lives, or better spoken, they are not feeling the impact of it in their lives, for they are not feeling. They have lost, temporarily misplaced, become out of touch with the art of touch, the art of feeling a blade of grass and reveling in its growth from something that was nothing, seemingly. And this is something that is needing to be re-accessed in order to access some of the gifts that are being temporarily misplaced. For we cannot access these innate gifts until we further commune with this deeper community within. And that also includes Mother Earth and her inner community. For she is singing to us as her children, and she is showing us many things that many are incapable of seeing, holding the frequency that they are feeling when they are not feeling. So many people are feeling called to pay attention to things that it's not a true feeling. It is merely a sensation caused by sensationalism, which drowns out the deeper feelings of the softness and gentleness of the deep, I'm hearing womb-like signature frequency of the Mother Earth's true resonance. So we would invite all who have this ability to feel into the earth and to become more in tune with her song. And while doing this, maintaining a sense of composure. And this is tricky. And so I'm being shown a picture, and I'm just waiting to see if I should continue saying, I'll continue, I'll share the picture at the end. This is tricky, for there are those who are out of touch with this deeper touch, or they have been, let's say, touched by technology and have yet to feel the true human interaction that unlocks the key code, that unlocks the combination to deepen this, I'm hearing transitory schematic, play on words. It's transition we're going through. In creating this new earth, and this, not new earth, new world, we could say, that we live in. And so we're going through this transition, and so there are those of us who are the key coders of the earth, but we are all that if we can remember that and put aside our need to continually play with just something that is not innate, something that is finite. So let us reorganize and go back into this message. For not all is lost, and it is a tricky situation, for there are those who are dancing and playing on the earth, and those who are we are wishing to bring to the game, bring into the table. Like, I'm seeing us, look over here, look at the sunset, and the person's on their cell phone looking at a sunset on their cell phone, missing the sunset that's happening right in front of them. And what happens is that's a stimulation that's causing certain cones in the eyes to pattern into certain brain mechanisms that creates a certain chemical addiction to technology. And that's just one very small example. So those particular individuals really are unable to see from time to time what it is that we are pointing out for them to see, or they see it and they're not stimulated by it because they don't remember how to be. It's like it's a membrane that's been created. It's like a film that they're not able to move through because it's out of touch. It's literally a disconnect. And so it's difficult for some people to pull someone like that into the world of touch and sound and crystals, and especially if they're so far removed from it. So the reason I'm being guided to say it's tricky is it's not about us. We're being called to do it on our own. And again, I'm hearing, if you build it, they will come. Number one. Number two, I remember being at this stage in my life, not exactly, but I remember kind of watching some of my friends who were super sunshine and rainbows and flowery, and, you know, which is what some people would call me now, right? The hippy dippy, right? The earth, I love it. I'm going to go live in a tree. I'm going to hug that tree. And I was in that space in my life where I was like, okay, have fun with that. Let me know how that works out for you. And then I would go off to the club or whatever, because I was motivated by music and dance and lights and sound, and that was exciting to me. Now I get very happy to hug a tree, and it makes me feel so good because I've reconnected with that aspect or facet, back to the beginning, of myself that I had temporarily misplaced. And so it isn't necessarily wrong for me to try to go back as myself now and convince my younger self to do that. For me, it needed to happen the way that it happened. So recognizing that everybody is at a different stage in their diamond, in their transition, evolution, but also recognizing that the more of us that do that, the more of an impact it has in a ripple effect in the consciousness of everyone else. And not giving up on someone because they're not doing it according to when we think they should or how they think we should. And also recognizing that people may see that and turn away from it because it is so far away from what they see as real. So there are those people who can bridge the two in a much more grounded type of way. So some people are really going to be called to go do drum circles and chant and burn incense. Other people are going to see that as crazy and turn away from it, but they might feel called to, go to a scientific based organization that happens to do meditation, grounding meditation, before they start having a think tank. See where I'm going with this? So everybody has a different style, and we're all being called to utilize that. And that's going to be the bridge that many people are seeking to create. So not everybody is going to be the flower child, and not everybody's going to respond to that. Not everybody's going to be the scientist who happens to spend time grounding on the beach because they know that it's important for their bodies. So there is this merge I'm seeing, and I think a lot of us are. So the idea is just being in our own, again, enjoy the little things and recognize that everybody's in their own stage of development, and honoring that. And I just keep being shown that the earth is the diamond. So we're all part of this diamond. But if you ever look inside of a really complex diamond, it's got all these different, or a quartz crystal would be a rainbow quartz. I love looking at a rainbow quartz under the light because it just shines and shimmers and has different levels and layers. So honoring all of that is part of the same diamond. So I'm going to end on that note. So to all you scientists out there, have fun grounding and sharing ways of helping others with that energy. And all of you hippy dippy flower children, have fun dancing on the earth and celebrating under the rain. And all of those that are kind of in between, have fun just being in the moment and sharing in the very basic sensations that are part of this experience of life that we don't want to lose touch with. Or if we have lost touch, go back within and find it again. However that needs to look for us. Go for a swim. Breathe in the salt air. Go to a river or lake. Collect a rock from a riverbed. Feel the water rushing over your ankles. Go stand on hot sand and recognize that it's hot. And then soothe your feet in the water. I mean, go hug a tree and notice if you feel any sensations. And even if you don't feel any sensations, start to feel what the bark feels like under your hands. Are your hands getting warmer as you focus on the bark? Does it remind you of something from your childhood? Even if it reminds you of, wow, I fell out of a tree once, I broke my leg, that's why I never want to hug a tree again. Great, maybe that's a trauma that hasn't necessarily been integrated. Hence our fear of trees. I'm just playing with this because this comes back to us becoming conscious about this and consciously interacting in this way. In love and light, guys. Thank you so much. Namaste.